I don't even know where it's at. Come on. What's that? Nick. Hi. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Michael's logging in right now.
I was trying to log in from the training room, but the mic in here is not working.
Too many mic drops.
So we'll do it from here.
Hey, Michael, hope all's well.
Good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Let me share my screen here and we can get started. All right, let me know if you see the screen. Gaining mind over market.
Yes, I can see it.
So when we talk about shift, what
I don't know
does
why. I don't know why I'm down in the corner though. I'm like I'm overlapped on your. I'm on the right side. Oh yeah, there you go.
okay, so when we talk about the shift, what does that bring to mind? What's it tell you?
The market is definitely shifting.
And how do you feel about the market shifting?
Been focused on other things since about April.
What does it tell buyers and sellers?
Pump the brakes.
Definitely pumping some brakes going on. I think with the market shift, it brings opportunity, right? And I think it all is based on your perspective on the market. So when I ask, if you think about a market shift, is your perspective fear-based or opportunity-based?
Both.
I think there's a pretty big sense of this isn't the right market to participate in across a large percentage of people who might need to be convinced otherwise.
Yeah, I think a lot of people react in a fear-based position, right? And an analogy that I like to use is if there's a really big sale or a really good sale, are you going to go to that sale?
Yeah.
Okay, so if the market shifts and real estate values start dropping, would you consider real estate as on sale? And would you take advantage of that sale or would you sit on the sidelines?
I mean, you take the opportunity of it, but I feel like most people don't have a mindset.
I totally agree. Most people don't have that mindset. So how do you talk to your clients about shifting the way they're thinking about this market from a fear-based market to more of an opportunity mindset. Let's take advantage of this market.
Tell them like all the advantages and pros and cons. There's not going to be a bunch of people going on a bidding war over one house.
I think that's one, right? Home values are dropping. You're not competing against other buyers that are paying 50 grand above market.
You can always refinance. Seller can cover costs.
Yep. What else?
If you wait until the interest rates go down again, everybody else is going to get back on the market. Houses are going to get more expensive. I don't know where I was going with this, but I don't know. There's bad sides to both. And if they didn't participate in it when it was happening a couple months ago, how come we're going to participate when it goes back down again?
So I think some of the ideas that we'll talk about today is, the opportunity mindset, master your skills, installing key systems, and get in the game, right? So first, let's talk about their perspective.
I think it's important to shift away from the idea that interest rates will ever be low like they were again. They've never been before. Why does anyone think they will be again?
For sure. And I think part of that is people have gotten spoiled, right? I think
tainted is a better word than spoiled, because the reality is like people expect things that are unexpectable now. And that's beyond being spoiled. It's literally like, how can you sit around waiting for, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, we could all sit around staring at the sky every night waiting for another meteor to go by, but that happens like once every 1,000 years or something, right? So
yeah. So I think from an agent's perspective, I'm seeing it in a lot of agents. Some agents are saying, well, the market's shifting. I'm going to sell less homes. So maybe I need to pick up a side hustle, or, maybe I need to, start thinking about plan B, whatever plan B might be, because they think because the market has shifted, they're going to sell less homes. So I need to be ready. And I totally agree that you need to be ready, but just because the market shifted, whether rates are high and home values are dropping, people always need to buy or sell. So for me, I've been in real estate 22 years, and I was in real estate during 2008, 2010, when not only the real estate market was crashing, the economy was collapsing, right? Banks were going out of business, insurance companies were going out of business, automakers were going out of business. So the government had to step in and bail all these people out. But you know how many homes sold every year during 2008, 2009, 2010? What would you guess?
A lot of foreclosures.
Ton of foreclosures. But how many home sales did we see in 2008, 2009, 2010 per year?
No clue.
No idea. Yeah.
I'm intrigued though.
About 60,000 home sales a year. And then if you double that, right, because there's a buyer side, there's a seller side, that's 120,000 sides. How many home sales do we have today? What do you think?
More than that.
Well, what's the number?
I'd say 80,000.
It's about 75, 80,000, right? So even in a crashing market, there's still 60,000 home sales. Today, there's 75, 80,000 home sales. It's not that big of a difference. We're talking a difference of 15,000 homes, right? So we're talking a difference of 30,000 sides. Are you still able to build a business and survive this market shift if we went from 80,000 home sales to 60,000 home sales? Absolutely. Right. And I told you, markets always shift over time. The market's cyclical. You know what I mean? Everybody talks about buy low, sell high. If you're going to buy stocks, buy low, sell high. If you're going to buy real estate, buy low, sell high. Well, we're in a market where buyers have the opportunity to buy low, but what are they doing?
Not buying.
Oh, I'm scared.
Is it always that way? That's my question.
Is what always that way?
That when the market does tip in your favor, you're actually seeing people respond the right way, or is it always opposite? Is it
I think it's opposite, right? I mean, you have to, I would say it's the 80-20 rule, right?
Okay.
You have the small few people who look at the market and really take advantage of the market, right? Like Warren Buffett says, you know, when people are in fear, that's when I'm buying, right? I would say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm curious how you're coming to the conversation point of this is low. I mean, I'm looking at houses that are, in my mind, $400,000 and $500,000 houses with $700,000 and $800,000 price tags on them. So I'm trying to shift my own perspective, because right now I'm having a hard time. Like, who am I helping with housing stuff? People in my sphere of influence, people that know me, people that I care about. And I'm looking at, how do I convince myself that it's a good idea to help these people invest into a property that, I mean, I don't hardly know anybody that can afford to buy into this market. And the ones that can are looking for some reassurance that this is a good market to buy into. And I'm seeing home values that are up 50% from where they were a year ago.
Sure.
Well, you know,
I think that conversation is, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Client. I don't have a crystal ball. If I did, I'd probably be sitting on a beach somewhere. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be selling real estate, but I will ask you some questions that can help figure out if it makes sense for you to buy now, or does it make more sense for you to wait and see what happens? Okay. So the first question is how long do you plan on living in the house? If that answer is maybe a year, if you're only going to be in this house 1 or 2 years, maybe you don't buy right now. Because if you buy it and the home values drop 50 grand in a year, I don't know if those home values will have recovered, in which case maybe you wait, maybe you continue to rent, right? Mr. and Mrs. Client, how long are you going to live in this home? If that answer is 10 years, 15 years, we want to raise little Johnny in this house. Okay, well then, if we look at home values over the last 30 years, home values continue to increase over the last 30 years. So there's I can make a pretty reasonable assumption that if you're going to be in this home 10, 15 years, even if the market dips in the next year or two, that dip, you're going to recover from that dip. And in 10 years or in 15 years, when you sell that home, you're going to make money. That's a reasonable assumption, right? And if that's the case, so now let's talk about, what kind of quality of life do you want to live? Do you want to stay in this rental that's too small, that doesn't work for you, right? You don't have the yard so the kids can go play in, right? I think there's other factors than I'm afraid to buy a home and it drops in value and then I'm screwed. Well, yeah, but you're going to be in here 10 years. So let's look beyond that. Let's get you into a home where you can raise your family in. That's where you want to be. And I think it's reasonable to say over 10 years, you're going to be okay. If it's going to be a year or two, well then, yeah, I can't guarantee in 2 years you're going to sell this home and make money. So maybe you wait.
But even every dip on some kind of graph or timeline, if you could produce a graphic to assist you in this conversation, you can see every dip is followed by the properties being worth more than they were, even at the last peak before that dip.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So it's a longer term conversation. Really, is a good adjustment to shift it over to.
Yeah. And part of it is like, we can't time the market. You know what I mean? Like I was talking to sellers a year ago. I'm like, oh, it's a great time to sell. And then the market goes crazy at the beginning of this year and it's even hotter, right? I don't think you can time the market, right? You can't time, here's the bottom and this is when you should buy. Nobody knows when that is, right? I could be like, home values have dropped by 30%. I mean, I think that's a pretty good time to buy. And then it drops another 20%, right? Like, you don't know. So I think you always want to look at it long-term. Like you said, if they're going to be in this home long-term, you're going to be okay. You're going to make money. So let's talk about the law of supply and demand, right? Demand exceeds supply equals high prices. Supply exceeds demand equals low prices. So where do you think we're at right now?
Still pretty high demand. I mean, we might have more properties than we did a year ago on the market, but it's still low compared to normal.
I agree. I mean, I think we're kind of at the tipping point, right? Rates have gone up. And I think, you know, as rates continue to go up, we're going to see more supply to the point where it exceeds demand. And then we'll start seeing the lower prices. I mean, we're starting to see it. Price drop, price drop, price drop. Right?
Yep.
So who's seen this before? Seller's market, there's less than 5 months of inventory. Balanced market, 5 to 7 months of inventory. Buyer's market, more than 7 months of inventory.
Well, Nick's seen it because he saw it a couple hours ago.
Yeah, I saw it this morning. How do you gauge that though? 5 months of inventory based on how many have closed in the past month?
Yeah, you could look at that. You could look at, okay, well, if 5,000 homes sell a month, let's say, right, for us to have, say, 6 months of inventory, how many homes need to be on the market?
30K.
So 30,000 homes.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because this on a linear timeline, like what 5 month period? Are you talking October through March, or are you talking March through September? Because you can't use the numbers from January to project out into July.
You know, I think if I were looking at it, I'd probably go look at it, you know, on a quarterly basis, right? What are we looking at over the last 3 months? And where's that trending? You know, I say if we were to forecast today, I would say we're going into November, which has Thanksgiving. It's going to start snowing. Then we're going to hit December and you've got Christmas. And then January, I'd say November, December, January are going to be are historically the slowest times in real estate. And with that being the slowest time in real estate, what do you think the inventory levels are going to do?
Oh, increase.
I think inventory levels are going to increase, right? And if the inventory levels are increasing, what kind of conversations do we need to be having with our sellers? What kind of conversations are we having with our buyers? What expectations are we setting?
I mean, managing expectations all along the way with both sides.
Yep. You know, with the buyer, it's like, it's open season for you right now because we're in the middle of December. Nobody wants to buy a house because it's freezing. Everybody's busy Christmas shopping. These sellers are desperate for an offer. Let's go get you a house.
Right.
If I'm talking to a seller, I'm like, hey, you know, this is what to expect. It's going to be slower and maybe we don't make a move right now. Right. So
there's some strategic opportunities in that for both sides, I'd say.
I'm talking to all my investor buyers right now. Get ready. Come November, December, we're going to go buy some deals. Right? Because I think these guys are going to be desperate. You know, we can talk about the affordability index. I don't want to get into crunching the numbers, but I would argue that the Denver metro area does have an affordability problem. Right. I think you've got to make decent income to be able to buy a home in Denver. Like you were saying, right? Average income or average price of a home is what, 700K?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think you got to make some bucks to buy a 700K house. I think teachers are struggling. You're not going to have, you know, your bartender or your service industry people going out there and stroking checks and buying 700K homes. Right. So if you look at what's happened in California, that's why ADUs are starting to become popular. right? Everybody know what an ADU is?
Accessory dwelling unit or something like that.
So yeah, they're starting to build, small homes in their backyards that they can sell and rent out. People are converting their garages and stuff because affordability is such a huge problem in California. That's why for a while you had these guys in California. Like, for example, I had a client sold their townhome in San Francisco for 1.3 million, came over here, bought a 700K house, and their townhome in San Fran was paid off. So they came over here, bought a 700K house cash, and they're like, I still got 600K in the bank. And I went from a townhome to now I'm in like a 5,000 square foot home. I've got a yard, 3-car garage. This is great. This is cheap, right? I have clients that are selling their homes in Denver for 700 grand, and they're going to South Carolina and they're buying homes for 350. And they're like, this is cheap, right? So I would argue that, we also have to look at affordability, right? Can people in our market, do they have the earnings required to be able to buy a home?
It's a small percent.
Yeah. And if that answer is no, well, then buckle up, right? Like you need to shift your marketing to attract those folks that can qualify to buy houses.
Yeah. Time for new friends.
I think also there's out of the box thinking around it too, right? Like teaching house hacking and helping people to understand the benefits of buying in partnership with a friend, because those are things that we've done this last year. I just met with a gal at one of my listings, and we're talking about house hacking, and so that's a problem solver, right? If you can get a lender who will work with you.
Yep. So, ways to close the affordability gap, right? So, I mean, we got to look for lower home prices. So if you can't qualify to buy in Denver, where can you qualify to buy? Maybe you qualify in Bennett. Maybe you got to go to Colorado Springs, right? I think one thing that has driven this market over the last several years, low rates, because we're seeing it now. I know, Myrna, you've seen it, where client qualified for 450, boom, rates jumped, qualify for less. Rates go up higher, qualify for less, right? All of a sudden you have these guys that I used to qualify for 450, now I qualify for 365, simply because the interest rates changed. Right.
And while that was happening, all the $450,000 houses became $525,000 houses.
Yep. But I think we're going to start seeing, things equal out, things level off, because, as buyers, pump the brakes a bit, we're seeing all these home sellers price drop, right? So are they going to drop prices low enough where somebody can still say, hey, I can, even though my payment's higher, I can qualify. This house is now in my price range. We'll see. Right now, no. I don't think it's dropped enough for, Josephina to be like, okay, even though my rate's higher, the price of this home still makes sense, right? And then there's, you got to increase your income. Right? Are you adding co-signers? Can your parents help you co-sign? Can a sibling help you co-sign? What can we do to increase your income so you can qualify to buy a house? What factors can an agent control? So what else can we control?
I think a lot of the things that you're talking about, really communicating with sellers and buyers, educating, offering resources like the lenders and, different types of programs, learning ourselves.
One of the things that I had to get really good at when the market was more challenging was understanding lending, right? Is, okay, you have a normal loan where you're looking at a 7.5% interest rate. But how long do you plan on living in this house? I'm probably going to be here 5 to 7 years. Okay. Well, then why don't you let's go to the bank and let's get you a 7-year ARM. right? I know ARMs got a bad rap in 2008, 2010, because that's what caused the financial collapse, right? But there's ARM products out there that are done by banks. First Bank does them, Bank of Colorado does them. Interest rate is fixed for 7 years. If you only plan on living in this house for 5 years, right? Why don't you go get a 5-year ARM or a 7-year ARM, and it's fixed for that period. And by the time this ARM starts adjusting, you would have sold the house already anyway. So why go get an 8% interest rate or whatever when you can go get a 5% interest rate?
You can refinance too.
And you can refinance. Yep. So let's say you bought the home with an ARM, and in 3 years rates drop down to 5% or 4.5%, and you can get a 4.5 30-year fixed. Well, then go refi. Right. I also got really good at understanding, okay, what does this borrower qualify for? What's their max monthly payment? And then from there, okay, how can I adjust the purchase price or adjust the insurance or whatever so they fall within that max purchase price so we can get them into the house? Any other factors agents can control?
Educate your people again on like, hey, instead of buying right now, let's maybe wait a month or two and see what I think there's going to be some more inventory on the market and more sellers that are willing to make bigger concessions.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think for sure going into the holidays, we're going to see a whole lot more. I think we also need to have a perspective on the market, right? We need to have a pulse on what's going on nationally, what's going on locally in the state, in the city, as well as what's going on in this local neighborhood. Right? Like, for example, affordability, right? Like OPEC just cut oil production. What does that mean to our gas prices? If our gas prices are going to go up, does that mean people are going to be willing to go pay more money for a house?
So,
right. So I think it's how are we educating ourselves so we know what to expect in a shifting market? Because it's not always just interest rates are going up, so home values are going to go down, right? But what are the external factors that we're not thinking about, right? Like groceries are up, gas is up. People are less likely to jump into a $4,000 mortgage or whatever it is, right? So how do we have these conversations with our clients so, we're able to address all of their concerns, not just, these buyers are living in fear, they've pumped the brakes, they don't want to buy. All right, well, I get it. Yeah, groceries are up, gas is up. But if nobody's buying and everybody's renting, what happens to rent?
It goes up.
So your rent's going up. So now your rent's going up, your gas has gone up, your groceries has gone up. Is that a good position to be in?
No, and a mortgage is a fixed payment.
Or does it make more sense for you to buy a home and create that stability for yourself so you know what your mortgage payment is month over month over month?
Well, where do you get this information from? How do you stay informed?
I think I stay informed by talking to other people in the industry, talking to my lenders, right? Not just one lender, but multiple lenders. Talk to other brokers, right? Other brokers that, they monitor the economy and the market and what's going on. I also watch the news, right? Pay attention to what's going on. I think the news media tends to, bad news sells, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're able to say, okay, I'm not going to pay attention to the bad news, but I'm going to pull facts out of the news. And like, hey, if OPEC cuts production, I'm about to start paying more at the pump. That's reality, right? Or if, for example, if you look at the Netherlands, all their farmers just went on strike. This was a few months ago, but they all went on strike. Grocery stores, no food, right? What if something like that were to happen here? What if all our farmers were like, screw it. Y'all want milk? Too bad. I'm not milking any more cows. What happens with the cost of milk? Through the roof, right? pull facts from it. So while we're talking about the media, what role does the media play in our buyers and sellers' minds? What do you guys think?
Well, right now, it's a significant role because they're talking about it constantly.
Mm-hmm.
There was an article yesterday, right? Denver, one of the fastest cooling real estate markets in the country. So if you have buyers out there looking and they see this article or they see the news talking about fastest cooling real estate market, what do you think that does to your buyers?
You say growing or cooling?
Cooling.
Yeah.
Fastest cooling real estate market in the country.
Because we were one of the fastest growing markets, right? I mean, it's compensating.
Right, exactly.
But it's always spun in a negative way.
Yeah.
Oh, home values are going through the roof because
Yeah.
we're the fastest, we're the hottest market in the country. Home values are crazy.
Yeah. And they would always accent those people who paid $100,000 over. And then when you'd have somebody come in with $10,000 overbid, the sellers were like, oh, that's the best we can do. It was just weird.
Yep. And then now the news media is like the fastest cooling market, right? So what do you think that's doing to buyers and sellers?
Yeah, it's inciting fear.
Maybe I don't list my house this year.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
Just
and
keeping inventory low and prices up.
Yeah. That's an unintended consequence for sure.
And just like the builders pulling back.
Yep.
The builders pulled back too.
And that's not all the story. That's what's unfortunate. That might be the case. If you looked at all the data, it might be 0.5% over everybody else, but they make it sound like it's like, oh, the sky is falling. Really? You don't get to look at all the data that they're looking at. They're just giving you a headline. And most people are just believing everything hook, line, and sinker.
We just had a movie watch party where we rewatched Idiocracy with 10 people because we're totally sliding into that reality. It's crazy.
So let's talk about some of these seller beliefs, right? They have an inflated sense of value, right? You're on a listing appointment. So, Mr. Seller, what do you want to sell your home for? Oh, I want $1 million for my home. And comps are 850, right? Or sellers are like, if I don't, I met with a seller yesterday and he's like, if I don't get this much money for my house, I'm not selling.
Did you go on my listing appointment? I had that same guy.
Or we had, like my guy, he's only owned his house for a year. So he paid where we are right now,
Yep.
I think there's a lot of those guys out there right now. I just had to talk one down myself. That's a friend of mine on a referral where I told him, don't have such high expectations for your property, dude.
Yep. I think there's going to be a reality where a lot of agents who got into this business, they came into the market where you put a sign in the yard on Friday and on Monday, your home's under contract and you're getting a check in 30 days, right? I think a reality is going to be, you're going to start carrying inventory of homes, right? You might have 30 homes for sale and you have to do that because, and let's say it takes on average 30 days to sell a home. Well, in order for you to scale and run your business, you need to have X amount of listings. So those listings turn, one home sells every 30 days. So you're gonna continue to make money so you can, run your business and pay your bills, right? So, I mean, if it takes 30 days to sell a home and you want to get a check every month, how many homes do you need to have for sale at any given time?
13.
You know what I mean? So
I better get after that because the ones I have are sitting.
So we just talked about what some of the seller beliefs are. What are some of these buyer beliefs?
Values might continue to go down.
Why would I buy now, right? Home values will just keep dropping. Why would I buy now? And we talked about that at the beginning of the call, right? plenty of time to look and buy. Homes aren't going anywhere. We've got all the time in the world. Seller will take almost any offer. Well, that's not true. Sellers are motivated, but they're not desperate. They're not stupid.
Yeah, I had a client sometime last week, and they said, hey, they just dropped the price 40 grand on this property. Does that mean if I wait another 30 days, they'll drop another 40 grand? And I was like, no, that's not the way it works.
Maybe not. Or 40 grand is enough of a price drop to incentivize a different buyer to go buy the house that you wanted. And in 30 days, that house is gone. Right? Wait for more homes to come on the market. May not be able to get a loan. Great time to invest in real estate. I totally agree with the last one. So let's talk about the opportunity mindset. Markets are always in transition. I would agree with that. Even though for the most part, we feel like we're in the same market, I'd say month over month, you're in a different market, right? The market determines your success. What do you think about that myth?
I think we determine our own success. It's interaction.
Yeah.
100%.
Start leaning on it. You lean on anybody or anything for your success, and you're totally a victim of whatever that outside influence has in store for you.
Yep. And I think we're going to see a lot of real estate agents let the market determine their success. All the market's changed. You know, I'm making less money now because home values are lower. Sure. Right. I mean, I was selling homes when they were 40 grand in Aurora. I was like, damn it, I should have bought more homes. Right. Those same homes today are 400 grand. Right. But how much money did I make off a 40 grand home? You know, they were like, commission on 40 grand is $1,200.
Yep.
So a lot of these people were like, hey, minimum commission, $3,000, just bring your buyer. But still, 3 grand? How many of those did I need to sell to pay my bills, right? So you can't let the market determine your success. People buy and sell in all markets. We talked about that. Down markets tend to have fewer great deals and those that are sell faster. What do you think about that?
Down, I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like down markets probably have better deals.
I agree. I think you'll find more deals in a down market. But I do agree, they do sell faster.
Sure. Well, especially now, so many people are into investing.
Because the investors are out, right? The investors know the market's down and they are out. They're like, let's go. Over the last several years, they've been sitting on all this money because they're like, the market's stupid. I'm not going to go pay 100 grand over.
Yeah.
Now they're like, now I can start getting some real deals. Yeah. Let's go. Right? So up markets equal proactive and reactive lead generation. What does that mean?
Well, proactive lead generation is getting out there and doing it. Reactive would be like it's coming to you, like somebody might call you, right? I feel like the down market, you have to be proactive, and the up market, you might be able to be more reactive, but proactivity would increase your return.
I think everybody should make their lead gen proactive, right? I mean, that's, you're pounding the phones, you're pounding the pavement, right? You're doing what you can to get in front of these, get FaceTime with people, right? You're doing open houses, you're doing classes. What are we doing to pound the pavement to get in front of people? Because I think the days of, you know, putting a house on Facebook and expecting to get a whole bunch of leads and selling the home on Facebook are gone. I think the days of,
although I'm still going to post it there, just saying.
For sure. I think the days of, you know, hey, I'm going to, you know, I'm going to expect Zillow to sell my house for me or whatever. I think those days are gone. in a difficult market, those that are successful are those that get out there and pound the pavement. So in a market shift, new strategies are required. Adopt the opportunity mindset. I'd say you know, in any market, you only want to seek motivated buyers and sellers, right? Why do you want to waste your time? Price ahead of the market, don't chase the market. What does that mean?
Well, I learned that on this one where we needed to drop and get in front of that ball rolling down hills and jump ahead of it and reduce accordingly or increase accordingly. Just before where everybody else is, right?
Yeah, I think, you know, you need to use what we call active pricing, right? So if you're looking around at the active listings that you're competing with and you're the most expensive listing, are you going to sell or are they going to sell? Right, you're just helping the other guy sell his house. So how do you make sure you're priced right so you can sell? Make condition of the listing stand out. I think this is going to become important. Several months ago, it didn't matter. It could be a dump and you're going to have 5 offers. Now you're going to have to go through and talk to your sellers. Look, you got to clean this up. You got to paint this, right? You got to put this stuff away. You got to declutter your house. You're going to have to start making, you know, your listings are going to have to be on point. Motivate buyers with a sense of urgency. How can we do that?
Well, right now the interest rates could go up again, so that's a point that we could bring. The house could, like you were saying before, the price drop could attract another buyer. So if you really like the house, you know, instead of waiting and seeing what happens.
Yeah. Qualify and convert the leads quickly. I agree, in any market. Catch and convert leads on the web, bulletproof your transactions all the way to closing. So we'll talk about that further on in the series. Find out where the market is and get in it. Do more with less. Expenses, services, people. I think getting your expenses in line, you know, it's the next chapter. But yeah, buckle up. Don't burn your cash. Right, learn alternative financing options, right? Like I said, one of the things that I had to do is become really good at lending, even though I wasn't a lender, right? I knew all of the ways, all of the programs out there that helped my clients get into homes.
And you sat with lenders to learn that? Is that how?
Yep.
I have some great people who will probably do that.
Like even this morning on our team call, I was talking about the 3-2-1 program, right? Have you guys heard of that program?
No, that was the first time I've ever heard it.
So right now you're hearing a lot of people talk about 2-1 buy downs and stuff like that. So Cross Country now has a 3-2-1 buy down. So it's a 3-year buy down. So for the first year, your rate's 3 points less. Second year is 2 points less. Third year is 1 point less. Fourth year becomes your normal rate. But the beautiful thing about this is if rates drop and you refi, and, you know, let's say you refied halfway through the program. Well, the remaining savings that you would have saved if you continued through the program, they take that and they apply that towards your principal balance.
Nice. Cross Country.
Yeah.
That's who Patrick is with now, is that right?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so then we've got, you know, seller's market. We've got, you know, in a seller's market, agent count increases, right? In a hot market, agents think I'm going to get my license and money's going to rain from the sky because I'm licensed now. In a buyer's market, agent count decreases, which means the agents that are left, we actually make more money because there's more deals available to us, right? So that's why I like a down market better. I have less competition. I have more deals that I can go after. Right. So big opportunity for those with stamina, skill, and have adapted and improved business practices. So wait it out. It'll be over soon. Who has that approach? I think you need to face the market and adapt as needed, right? Because it's going to get harder. It's not going to get easier.
Mhm.
But if you work hard, you'll make more money.
Commitment, consistency, and reduced expenses. The concepts of commitment and consistency, like it's totally a numbers game.
For sure.
If you can just keep going.
Hi.
Hi, Donna.
Well, Gary Keller says that the help me with the actual words, but it's the market that you take over in a shift, you'll never let go, or you'll always have something like that. I've butchered that. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think I get where you're going with that though. Yeah.
And it's also in today's session, so we'll talk about that as well. But let's talk about
Skipping ahead. Haha.
It's time for all hands on deck. It's time for prospecting, converting to appointments and contracts, cost control, negotiation, transaction bulletproofing, and customer service. Right? Everything on this list becomes important. Right? Because I would say in our last market, I didn't get the deal. It's all good. I'll get another one next week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore. You better be good at what you do.
Or don't cancel the contract and give it to Michael.
There you go. Have a plan and know what you should be doing at all times. Know your strengths, leverage them, and execute. Delegate tasks you do less well. What should we be doing every day? Prospecting. Some affirmations. And this is what Gwen was talking about. So now, Gwen, this is your section to take it away. I'll be right back.
Take it away, Gwen.
Whatever. I'm not taking it away. I already did my teaching today. You're on your own, Michael.
I think he went to get a plug.
Michael's running for a power cord. Yeah.
Yeah, he probably is. So this is what this is in shift, I'm sure of it, but Gary Keller just says that if you, whatever market share you take over during a shift, you're not going to lose it. So this is an opportunity for us to actually be growing our businesses. So we don't want to slow down waiting for the next turn because somebody else has taken over what you had because you weren't tending it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that.
If you don't tend your market share, somebody else is going to grab it from you. And you don't want that.
So if you maintain your market share, this is what he's talking about happens. So as the market, if you had 50% market share in a down market and the market starts to grow, your market share should grow with that market.
Okay.
So does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So if you maintain your market share, this is why they say in a down market is where you capture your market share because all the agents have gotten out of business, right? So now they're calling you that's left. And then when the market starts to pick up, who are they referring? They're referring you. And then now you're picking up those referrals, right? And that's why you continue to grow your market because once you've established that you're the agent, and then the market grows, you'll just make more money.
Michael, do you mind?
Yep, that's right.
Michael, do you have any advice for us? So I've spent the last year, this October is my 1-year anniversary from starting to do real estate, but it's been sort of a soft intro because I have another business I've been focusing on, but I've made a very conscious decision that October through February, I want to really put my nose to the grindstone and really try to develop my business so that when we get into the next busy season, I feel a lot more prepared than I did the last time that happened in my world, where I was actually off to a pretty good start. I closed 2 deals in the first quarter of the year, and then interest rates deflated all of my ambition. So I spent the past couple months not focusing on real estate, and now I'm really feeling like, okay, I got the other stuff done that puts my other business on more of autopilot. So I have the time and energy to focus on trying to develop my real estate business. But I'm trying to take a mindset because one of the obstacles I ran into is my blue collar network. They can't afford houses anymore. So I'm trying to imagine, I just moved here, I don't know anybody, and I want to start a real estate business. What's the best way for me to grab market share? What's the best lead gen source for somebody who knows nobody in a difficult town to sell real estate in?
So me and Myrna just had this conversation. If you wanted to sell 10 homes, would you go out there and just talk to 10 people alone and expect to be able to sell 10 homes?
Not at all.
So how many people would you need to talk to?
1,000?
Maybe it's 100. Maybe it's 500. Maybe it's 1,000. The question is do you have a high enough level of activity for you to capture and convert enough leads to equal the amount of closings that you need, right?
No, but I got a lot of time on my hands. So what's the best way to focus that time? I don't have a sphere here, not one that's relevant in being able to buy homes here, because most of my people make like 50 grand or 60 grand a year, not the 100,000 a year you need to qualify at these levels, you know? So one of the things I'm entertaining is do I buy leads, you know, pre-filtered leads or something? Because I need to find people who are shopping, that are pre-qualified, you know, and I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, because I feel like I sort of went hard into my sphere in the beginning of the year, and I found people that were interested. I had 6 people that I was shopping for houses with, and all of them don't qualify for the houses they were looking at anymore. You know, so I'm just trying to figure out what is the good way to tap into, like you talk about lead gen. Okay, go talk to people. Well, at the supermarket, no, you know, like where and how. Shifting for me, dealing with this shifting market means shifting my social network, because my existing one is too blue collar to buy homes in Denver Metro.
So my answer to your question in terms of what lead gen method or strategy should you employ to shift your sphere, and I would say the general answer is the method that you're going to do. Like I could tell you, you know what, just go door knock 100 doors a day in the area that has the price points you want to target. If you were to door knock 100 doors a day, what would your business look like in a year? I talked to Tammy about this. We were on a call where somebody door knocked 100 doors a day. What was his income? Remember you were sitting in my office? It was
significant. Yeah, I don't remember his income, but it was significant.
He made $1.2 million a year door knocking 100 doors a day.
Wow.
But I mean, Tammy was in the class, and Tammy, how many doors did you knock today?
None. I don't door knock. You're not going to get me to door knock.
You see what I'm saying? So then I could say, okay, well, if you're not going to door knock, well, then what happens if you did 3 open houses a week? What would your business look like?
Right. It would have to grow, because I'm exposing to more people.
Your business would be pretty good if you did 3 open houses a week. But you might be like, I hate putting these signs out. I hate sitting here when nobody comes in, and you don't do it.
But that's a good one right there, because that's a good option, because normally, for the most part, if somebody's going to show up at an open house, it's because they think they can buy that house.
For sure. Myrna, when I said go do an open house earlier when we were sitting down, what'd you say?
I said no. I don't like them.
They're boring, huh? Yeah. That's okay.
All right. I think everybody gravitates a method of lead genning, right? You just said, hey, open houses are great, because if I'm at an open house and somebody walks in, they're probably in the market to buy something. And I would agree with that statement. Or they're a nosy neighbor, and that nosy neighbor is trying to compare their house to the listing. So then the question is, okay, nosy neighbor, why are you here? Well, because I'm thinking about listing my house. So I'm scoping out the competition right now.
There's your listing.
Right. So if you did 3 of those a week, what's your business look like?
And you don't have to do, nobody has listings in the market center who's offering open houses. You can just go on the MLS and ask people if you can host open houses for them. That's what I did.
Sure. But I think going into a market where homes are sitting on the market longer and longer, and you call me and you say, hey, can I hold your listing open? What am I going to say?
Yes.
All day.
Yeah.
If you want to do them.
See, Tammy, she's got 2 for you right now.
2 open houses for you. You got it.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Or let's say, you know, you don't want a door knock. You don't like open houses. Okay, well, do you want a cold call?
No, I definitely don't like cold calling, but I could see doing open houses. But then because I've never done one, is there somebody that is, I remember at some point early last year, there was a fellow named Buzz or Bud or something, and he was like the open house guy in our office. I would like to have an opportunity. I guess I got to find an opportunity to talk to somebody who has done open houses because I've never done one. So the idea of like signing up for a few of them a week is kind of, well, I don't know what I'm doing. So if I can figure out how to do what I'm supposed to do, then it sounds like a very appealing option, you know?
So Myrna, can Nick go with you on Fidel's open house?
Yes.
There you go. Now y'all can chat and you can go with Myrna on her next open house.
Which is when?
Next weekend.
All right, I'll try and reach out to you. I'm going to try and be in the office tomorrow for the Ignite thing. So I'll try to get some contact info exchanged.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay. Or it might be, I mean, I know some people, like, they get all their business from Bunko. I don't even know how to play Bunko.
Yeah, networking.
Right? But it's networking, right? It's like, what are your hobbies, right? Like, are there groups that get together that you can go join and meet people, right? Maybe you're a car enthusiast, right? So this weekend you're gonna go check out this group of car enthusiasts, and you're gonna chat with those guys about real estate. And then next week you're gonna go to a different group, right?
That's actually what I'm trying to line myself up for. I'm signing up for all kinds of clubs right now that are clubs I might have never thought of joining before, but I'm like, hey, I'm kind of interested in that hobby. Why don't I join the local Denver, bonsai society and go trim on trees with somebody? Give me an opportunity to sit there with somebody I don't know and talk about what I do and hear about what they do, so.
Yep.
See how it goes. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? But you got to get out there and skin the cat.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So focus on the basics, right? Access your skills and look for ways to improve. Assess your skills and look for ways to improve. Keep up your education, which, I mean, if you weren't learning based, you probably wouldn't be here. Be a student of the market. How can you be a student of the market?
Pay attention.
I think MLS has a great tool. Has a great tool where, every time you log into your portal, it's got the market stats, right? That you can change from like 24 hours to 3 days to 7 days. And it gives you a quick snapshot of what the market looks like.
And location, you can totally customize your locations.
Yep. I mean, just a quick 2-second glance at that thing every day, it's going to tell you which way the market's trending, right? Lead generate 3 hours a day. I think that's huge, right? If you door knocked for 3 hours a day, what's your business look like? If you cold called for 3 hours a day, what's your business look like?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shit, you could do an open house every day for 3 hours if you wanted.
Mm-hmm. Well, that one guy said he took his business, like he just took his computer and everything and did an open house, literally worked from the open house. So he's not just sitting there. Mm-hmm. And it became productive time, but he also happened to be there in case anybody walked in. So instead of coming to KW, go to the listing and work.
Yep.
That was cool.
Talk competently with sellers about pricing, right? One of the things that I haven't had to say this to a seller for a long time, but Mr. Seller, I would rather disappoint you now than down the road.
Yeah.
Right? This is what realistically your home's going to sell for. Motivate your buyers to buy. How do we motivate our buyers to buy? I think can you highlight the pain of staying the same for the buyers to motivate them to buy? So you stay a tenant, right? Or for Josephina, you stay living in your brother's basement. Mm-hmm. And you continue to fight with your brother, and your kids continue to fight with your brother's kids.
Yeah.
Does it make sense for you to stay there? Or does it make sense for you to go buy your own place so you have less conflict in your life?
Heck yeah.
Right? Convert your leads to appointments. So know your market, prospect, try new sources for leads. I think everybody should have multiple lead sources, right? I think if you door knocked 100 doors a day, every day, you'd probably get sick of it pretty fast, right? But if, you door knocked 100 doors today, did an open house tomorrow, cold called Wednesday, whatever that looks like for you, you have multiple lead sources.
Mm-hmm.
Know your scripts. Scripts is going to get real important going into this market. Make offers to generate responses. So your MOFers have clear, concise, unique selling propositions. What's everybody's unique selling proposition? Why should I work with you? How do you answer that? Oh, we got some work to do.
We actually talked about this morning in Ignite.
Tell us more, Gwen. What came up?
You should have been in Ignite, girl.
Oh, fine. I was at a house with a buyer. When I think of like what sets me apart, I talk about communication and my ability to people don't turn into a number when they're working with me, my ability to be present and really walk through the process with them. So I'm really invested in that time with them and their journey. I have experience in 3 different levels of housing. So I have luxury, land, and residential is what I call it, but I guess, the others are residential too. But, kind of show the portfolio that I'm starting to grow.
What do you say, Michael?
Well, I think our unique selling proposition is when you work with me, you're not just working with me, you've got a whole team of real estate professionals that are helping you buy or sell a home.
I do talk about KW.
Right. I highlight the team. For example, let's say somebody's driving by the house and they call on the sign and they say, hey, I want to look at this house. And let's say I'm out of town. Right? We're not going to miss out that opportunity on getting somebody through your home to sell your home. I'm going to call a team member, and that team member is going to be able to meet them at the home to show them the home. Okay? And that's on top of, all the admin support that we have, right? If you ever have a question or a need, and you can't get a hold of me for whatever reason, you can always call one of our admin to get your questions answered. And if they don't know, they're gonna figure it out for you, right? On the buying side, if you wanted to go look at a home, same thing. Somebody from the team's always available to show a home. It's not, okay, I'll show you that in 2 days or whatever, right? It's also 22 years of experience. It's also, when we sell a home, we sell it for, we generally sell it for 103% of list price, which means we're selling it for more money than your average agent. So you're putting more money in your pocket with us versus a different agent.
I need to pull those numbers. I know we can pull reports and it shows that. I'm an individual agent, but I solely on KW. Like I've had Ricky has gone and showed homes for me.
For sure.
It's been amazing to do that.
Leverage the office for sure.
Yeah.
What improvements would benefit you the most?
I think that's really what I'm here for right now. I'm trying to convince I'm trying to learn how to convince myself that I can talk to people about this market like it is a good time to buy. Because I look at the guy right behind me who just listed his house for $800,000, and I'm just like, holy shit, that is not an $800,000 house. Like, I could never walk one of my clients into that house and go like, this feels like a good idea, doesn't it? It's weird. I'm trying to what improvement would benefit you the most? Really understanding the market so I could speak to it with confidence, because I can't bullshit people. I'm not going to walk into that house with somebody and be like, this is a great deal. This is what you should be looking at right now, because You know, there's not another one like this out there. I look at it and I'm going like, yeah, so it's 150,000 more than any house within 6 blocks of here, including 3 in the Thraymore neighborhood, you know? So I don't know, it's crazy. I'm trying to understand it all. I think education would improve
Well,
me the most, you know, understanding it all.
so let's talk about 3 concepts. Well, I want to talk about 3 things in relation to what you just said. So first concept is, it sounds like that home's overpriced. Would you take an overpriced listing?
I mean, I like what you said earlier. Let me disappoint you now instead of later. I don't think your house is going to sell for what you hope it's going to sell for.
Okay, but that's okay. If it doesn't sell, it doesn't sell. I still want to list it at this price. Do you take it or no?
I don't think I can invest time and money into something I don't believe in.
Okay, so now let me flip the script. I take that listing and I start marketing the hell out of that listing, and I generate 3, 4, 5 buyers off of that listing. So now, you know, now it's like, okay, Mr. Seller, here's the deal. It's probably never going to sell. But what I'm going to do, Mr. Seller, is I'll advertise. I'm going to do open houses on it, and I'm probably going to generate several buyers off of it. As long as you're okay with that, let's get it on the market.
Right.
Now, would you take that listing?
Right. Because it's a place you can hold your open houses every freaking day if you want and just meet buyers all day long.
Right.
Yeah, it's a different perspective. Yeah.
Right. So that's something to think about when, you know, when you're in front of a seller and he wants you to list it higher than what you think it can actually sell for. Right.
Right.
Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is you said you had some blue collar workers.
My peers, my people, the people I've been friends with for most of my life, you know, we all grew up broke and we're having our own version of moderate levels of personal success. But it's just like, I didn't go to private school. I didn't go to college. I don't have like there's the 5 dudes I used to play squash with and in college or whatever, you know. It's like, I feel like I'm finding myself trying to tap into a social tier that I've never been a part of, you know. And it's like, oh, look at Nick, the cute kid from the hood over here, trying to play backgammon with the big kids, you know.
So have you looked at, a lot of these home builders are desperate for buyers right now, and they're still giving rates. Myrna, what was the rate that Fawn got?
$399.
Oh, nice.
Home builders are financing their own homes, as you're saying?
Well, these builders are dumping a ton of money into buying the rates down for these buyers. So what if you found a new build that's in the ballpark price range that those buyers that you had looking can qualify for, and these builders are buying the rates down to 4.5% or whatever it is?
Didn't even know that was a possibility. So it's interesting to hear about, you know.
Don't forget my bottle of scotch when you get one of these guys under contract, right?
I'm a fan of a fine single malt, so that'll happen. All
right, so be a lifelong learner, become a teacher, coach, or mentor. When you cut expenses, don't cut education. Use education to plug in and grow. I can support those statements.
Oh yeah, me too.
Everyday commitment. Data is your friend. Know where to find it. Know both the national and local stats. Know the best buys. Know the status of all homes in proximity to your listings. I think the last one is key. If you're monitoring the homes that are for sale in proximity to your listing, and one of those guys just did a $50K price drop, what does that do to your listing?
We need to follow suit. And get in front of him.
At least have a conversation with your seller.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
but I also think know the best buys, right?
Yeah.
What happens if you're talking to a buyer and the buyer's like, yeah, I've been thinking about it, and you know the best buys? Can you quickly shift that conversation into, you know what? There's this house that's on the market in Aurora or whatever, and this thing is a screaming deal. You want to go look at it, right? I think that's a great way to convert a buyer. This is interesting. So be the media, become a spokesperson, speaker, and resources. Write articles, speak at town meetings, speak to businesses and other organizations, put updated, insightful content on your website. You know, you can do that on social media, start a blog.
YouTube, do YouTube videos.
You know, I think now, you know, now more so than ever, it is easy to push out your story. You know, what do you want to get out there? I mean, my kids have a YouTube channel. So know your numbers, homes on the market, homes sold, homes pending, right? That daily snapshot that we talked about tells you all this data, except for the list price. But, you know, homes on market, homes sold, pending, expired, it gives you all that data.
That's on the MLS you're referencing?
Yep. Homepage right when you log in.
Yeah, a really good idea that Anna taught me was she keeps a notebook and she handwrites in a couple of days a week what those stats are. And then over the months, she can go back and look back on, and you can watch the trends up and down. And when you do a live video or you write a blog post or whatever, you actually have the data from that day.
Are these slides that you're scrolling through available for review later? Because just like the rest of learning about real estate, this feels a little bit like a fire hose of information I'm trying to catch a sip off of.
Yeah, it's all available in your KW. So you go to mykw.kw.com.
Yep.
And then you go to education, and then you search Shift Series.
Okay.
And it's all in there.
Got it. Got it. Thank you.
I think this is something that we really need to get good at, is seek first to understand.
Gwen is really good at that. She asks so many questions.
I think a lot of times us as agents, we don't really listen. We just talk. But if we really listened to our clients, it would change the whole experience. You would learn, like, why do they want to sell their house? You know, what's their real motivation for getting into this real estate transaction? And then you respond because you listened, right? You're not responding just to respond. I'm sure everybody's done it, where you've been in a conversation and the other party's really not listening, right? They're just talking about whatever they want to talk about. So maybe you're, as the agent, you're like, okay, when do you want to get the house on the market? Let's get the photographer out here. Let's get the stage out here. Let's do this. But we're not really listening to our client. I think we can all take a step back and actually listen to our client. Study and practice scripts, leverage scripts through conversational skills, communicate with your clients faithfully, relieving their stress and yours. And I talk about the last one with my team all the time. Communicate with your clients faithfully, relieving their stress and yours. What you'll find is, before you put a sign in the yard Thursday, Monday the house is sold, you don't have anything to worry about. Now, home sat on the week and I only had one showing this week. Now we're week 2, I only had 2 showings that week. Now we're week 3. I haven't heard from my agent. I don't know what the feedback's been. I don't know what my agent's doing to market my home. Right? This is where consumer experience comes in. Are we doing everything we can to communicate systematically with our clients so we're relieving their stress and our clients know that we're on it? Hey, you had 2 showings last week. This was the feedback. This is what we did to market your home last week. This is what we're doing to market your home this week. This is what the market looks like. Hey, you know what? This guy just dropped his price $50,000, which makes your home look overpriced now. What do you want to do?
Michael, letting your client know what you're doing when the market shifts enough or they come to realize that they're overpriced, whatever, they don't blame you because they know exactly what you've been doing to help them get their property sold. Mm-hmm. But don't be secret about it. Let them know everything that you're doing.
100%. But you'll find a lot of expireds where their agents didn't communicate for shit with them, right? And it's an opportunity for you to come in there and pick up that business. I think this is a great point. Remessaging, right? Evaluate every message you're putting out. What kind of messaging are we putting out? Is our messaging similar to the media where it's doom and gloom? Or is our messaging like, man, this market is amazing? You know, when I talk to my clients and my clients are like, how's the market? I'm like, man, this market's amazing. Love this market. I actually sell more real estate in this market than I did in the last market. They're like, what are you talking about? On the last market, if I had a buyer, that buyer would go look at a house, go look at 5 houses or whatever. We'd find the house, make an offer, compete against 20 people, boom, they got beat out, and we're back to square one. And that's rinse, repeat, 10, 15 times until that buyer finally got under contract, right? That's the average story. Unless you have 50 grand appraisal gap or something crazy, right? Your buyer with a $10,000 appraisal gap probably got their butt kicked pretty often until you were able to get them a house, right? If you're in the office, why don't you come join us?
I was just thinking, because I have to go, and then I was doing flyers and stuff, so I'm on, but you're all squeaky in here. Get this one.
Right. So in the last market, it was, you know, we had to invest so much more time to sell a single house. Right. Maybe not so much on the listing side, but even the listing side was a little bit more work. Now I got to filter through 20 offers, got to call 20 lenders, right? There's a little bit more work all around. Whereas now in this market, I'm actually able to get my buyer under contract at a reasonable price in a reasonable amount of time. We sell more homes now than we did before. Really? Yeah. Why? You think about selling your home? What are we doing? You want to buy a house? You want to buy a rental? What are we doing, right? What's your messaging to your clients? What's your messaging to the people you're talking to? Are you like, oh man, these rates are killing me. These rates are so sky high, right? I think it's all about perspective. What happens if you ask an old timer what his interest rate was when he bought his first house? What's he going to say? 18%, 19%. He'd be like, 7%, let's go. Yeah. Right? Let alone 3%. It's all about perspective. So what kind of messaging are we putting out there? For sellers, it's time to sell. I think we have to give them reasonable expectation on time to sell and percent of list price, right? Are we having those expectations? Like, you know, you're probably going to get an offer that's, you know, maybe 10 grand under, right? The days of selling your home for 50 grand over list are gone, right? If we list at 500, we're probably going to sell for 480, 475, right? For buyers, what are the best buys? What are the foreclosures? How can I get you a great deal? Know the market facts, be truthful, test their understanding of what you said. I think if they don't understand what you said, like it went in one ear out the other, that's going to be a challenge for you down the road. Use the bottom line or net approach. I think it's always a good idea to give your sellers a net sheet. Let them vent their emotions and remain calm. Marina's a pro at this now.
Yeah, I am. Now I am. At first I used to panic. I'm like, oh my God, Michael, help me.
I get very emotional. I've cried multiple times. It's crazy.
Discuss finance.
With your client?
Huh?
With your client?
I haven't cried with them in the space. No.
Okay, I just wanted clarity there.
We'll hang up the phone.
I'm like, whoa,
then
Tammy,
I'll
hang
cry.
on.
I had one lady, she was in the Army. She was one of my first deals. And she called me one morning, and it wasn't even anything about the actual transaction. It was about moving. And she called me and she said, Tammy, first, this is not personal and not directed at you. And then she released like the funnel straight from hell, F words, and like screaming at the top of her lungs, like a sergeant. Like it was, and I held the phone away from my head, like, oh my God. And then when she was done, and she went on like for 2 minutes. And then when she was done, I just took a deep breath. I was like, that she started that it wasn't about me made all the difference. She just needed to have somebody hear her, but holy crap, it was crazy.
That's why we get paid the big
That's
That's why I say that all the time.
That's intense.
Woo.
And that's why we drink.
And that's what that's true.
So lead generate, we talked about that. Let's talk about systems. Review everything you do with a critical eye. All right, focus on your 20% activities. What's that mean on your 20% activities?
The ones that get 80% of the return. Sorry, I need to stop.
No, love
80% of your action comes from 20%, or 80% of your results comes from 20% of your actions.
Exactly. Quit the wrong stuff, stick with the right stuff. Have the guts to do one or the other. I think that's pretty profound. Question is, do you know what the wrong stuff is?
That was deep too. No, I started learning through you. Oh, that's not right. I'm not doing the right thing.
We all go through that, but we all have to learn what's right and wrong for each of us, because it might not be the same from person to person.
Mm-hmm. Convert your leads, make sure you're following up. Manage your expenses, know your numbers, leverage your people, and get a great vendor support team. I think you can leverage your vendors to help offset your expenses, right? If you're going to do an open house and you want to have cookies or sandwiches or whatever there, like, hey, lender, why don't you go halvesies with me, right? Commit and don't quit. Lay your foundation for growth and improving markets. Have a game plan and stick to it. I think that's important. So your game plan is like, I'm going to knock 100 doors a day. Your game plan is I'm going to do 3 open houses a week. Right? Focus on dollar productive activities. What, you know, this is primarily pipeline, right? How many listings do you need? You know, what's your pipeline look like? Right? What's your GCI? You know, what are the trends? What's your language of real estate? Are you the local expert? I think this is something everybody should track. And that's, you know, your listing appointments. How many appointments do you need to go on before you get a listing? How many listings do you need to take before you get a closing? And then eventually, what's your profit? I guess this is what I'm talking about, where you're going to start carrying a pipeline of 20, 30 listings at a time, right? Where you're gonna know that, you know, if I've got to continue to hold this many listings and take this many listings, because only this percentage of listings that I take are actually going to close. I mean, some of these agents at one point in time sat on 500 listings at a time.
Oh.
What kind of systems do you need to build to sit on 500 listings?
Big ones.
Right?
Wow.
Start getting your head around that. I mean, even if you were to have 100 listings, what kind of systems do you need? I mean, just to manage the lock boxes and the signs, right? Let alone who's going to follow up to get feedback for the showings, who's calling the sellers. Oh, you need more flyers. Who's delivering those flyers? What kind of systems do you need to have to be able to run this? What if it's 30 listings? Are you prepared to sit on 30 listings at a time?
This is where I'm at because I just had 7 clients consistently all the way through this summer. Not all of them have closed, of course, but like 7, I was looking in 7 directions all the time. And my systems, wherever I had gaps, were showing up all over the place. So this is actually where I'm at right now is I have a minute to breathe and I'm going to go back through, and Command has so many cool things that we can use. I'm going to go back and dig into that and try to find out my gaps.
So I think this is, wrapping it up, right? Become an opportunity warrior. Don't let the market freak you out. This market is full of opportunities where you can still sell a lot of homes and make a lot of money. I know guys in 2008, 2010, these guys, the company was called Public Realty. And it was owned by 2 brothers, right? And they scored the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac foreclosure contracts. So talk about systems. They had every Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac listing in Colorado.
Wow.
They made a shit ton of money. They made like $500,000 a year just slinging foreclosures for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Right. So in a market where everybody's like, oh, the market's crashing, the sky's falling, these guys are like, we're making $1 million a year because it was brothers. So they made 500 each because they were both agents, both listing these houses, $500,000 a year each. They're now retired because they made so much money and they invested all that money into buying all these homes when homes were $40,000. These guys are done selling real estate. He's retired. If you asked him what 2008, 2010 was, what's his answer?
The best years ever.
Loved it, right? Make sure your mindset is right.
Yeah.
Okay. Understand the law of supply and demand, understand affordability, become the media, master your skills, right? Market knowledge, communication, lead generation, conversion. I think conversion's big. I think a lot of agents don't know how to close, right? I say it all the time. If you go to that listing and you leave without the listing agreement, you just left 10 grand on the table because you couldn't close them, right? Are you skilling up your closing skills so you can convert these leads, these people that you're meeting? Like if you door knocked 100 doors a day, but you couldn't close any of them, you're not making any money.
That would be really frustrating.
Right? All right. So what were your ahas?
Got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I like the mindset piece. I feel like I always have a lot of work to do. And every day I can do something different. But having that mindset, shifting it around and looking for the opportunities and speaking from that space, because it's not just about my mindset, it's about how I can impact other people's mindsets. And that's where the shift would be in my career and the business that I take.
Well,
mine would be, yep, I have to up my game, my skills, but now I'm more like, but where do I find those trainings, those books? Where do I need to pick up that information so that I can improvise my skills? Because now I know what to do, but now how do I do it?
Well, that's why you're on role play every morning. That's how you're gonna up your scripts, right? I think having a role play partner is huge going into the shifting market, right? Like it's not like we role play all the time. Like, okay, well, how do you handle this challenge? How do you handle this scenario? I think you also start role playing. How do you close a client? Like if you go to Fidel's listing and he's like, yeah, I want to think about it. Well, how do you ask the right questions to get him to realize now is a good time to sell so you can close them? Right. I think you have all the resources. KW's got script books galore. YouTube's good. If you're going to cold call, YouTube's got some great videos of these guys pounding the phones, talking to FSBOs and expireds.
And the My KW KW has videos and all kinds of things in there that you can watch for all of the things, for listing appointments and buyers consultations, and all of it is in KW University. And keep coming to classes here.
Keep coming to classes, that's right.
That makes a big difference. It makes a difference for me to plug in and talk the talk and be around other people who are walking the walk.
I definitely feel like there's a lot of value in the classes and the coaching opportunities, right? Because there was the when I first started, there was a pretty robust coaching program happening. It kind of fizzled out back in March, but it was definitely like gave me a lot of confidence to move forward. And I feel like you just have to be careful you don't replace actions with educations. You learn a lot of stuff, but you got to put it into action as well, because if you just sit here as there's people that do that, right? They go to university and then they just stay at university until they get tenured in as a professor, and they never actually do anything but education kind of thing. Right. So yeah, I'm definitely excited. Thank you for your time today and the insights. I'm like I said, I'm trying to take a stance like, hey, this last year was a great little introduction, but now it's time to start going. And feels like I'm learning a lot already just in the first day of being back. This is my first day back in some classes. You know, I've never done a shift thing, and I did Ignite last year, but I'm excited to be getting going again. So thank you, Gwen and Michael, for your time today.
Absolutely.
See you tomorrow.
Yes, you will.
I'm in there. Oh, you're coming in too. Woohoo!
I might. We'll see. Getting up that early is not a part of my normal MO right now. I'm trying to shift my whole program right over here to get back on track with things. So anyways, thank you guys very much. That's kind of the end of this whole thing here, Michael.
It's up to you guys. We can go another 30 minutes and tackle the next session if you guys want, or we can wrap it up and do the next session next week. What do you guys think?
You can go either way, as long as I stay like feeling productive.
Yeah, next week.
So consensus in the room next week.
All right.
I'm running out to get kiddos. Mom duties call.
All right. So we'll do the next session next week then.
I'll look forward to it. Thanks, guys.
Does everybody have a shift book?
I do. I have 2.
I do not have a shift book. I have a MREA book.
All right. So when you're in tomorrow, let's get you a copy of the shift book.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.